Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls podcast with your host, Jennifer Loading.
And Brianna Drelis. And together we are the Starter Girls.
Where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills, photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. And additionally, we want to give a shout out to our friends at the Studio Dallas. The Studio Dallas is the best kept secret in the Dallas podcasting world. If you are looking for a studio with top-notch technology, video and audio recording capabilities, as well as a team to make things go smoothly, then Studio Dallas is the place to be. You can learn more about them through us at startergirls@gmail.com.
And also head over to our website at startergirlswithag.com where you can pick up your free gift. We have something that is going to help you up-level your decision-making skills. We want to keep in touch with you outside of this podcast. So head over there today and let's connect.
That's right. And we're ready to get started. But I do have to say something because as I was talking about Studio Dallas, Chris is back there like,
he's like, what?
What's up?
Can I get a what?
That's right. Yes. That's right. All right. Well, today's a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day. You decide. Let today be that day. Rise up. Be amazing. Be you. Do you. All right. I think it's time to get our guest on the show. I'm super excited about this one, guys. Okay. So the story.
Remarkable.
Yes. Remarkable is the word. All right. Mike Shoreman was living his dream as a paddleboarding coach, inspiring others on the water. One morning, everything changed. A sudden neurological condition called Ramsay Hunt syndrome, a result of having chickenpox as a child, woke him in excruciating pain. Having a collapsed face, extreme vertigo, and an inability to walk properly left Mike devastated that his budding paddleboarding career had come to an abrupt end. Instead, Mike channeled his pain into purpose. He used positive thinking to reverse falling. Mike got back up and stepped bravely into a life that looks nothing like the one he initially planned. He wrote diaries of the unbalanced paddleboarder, crash and rise from victim to thriving survivor. I got goosebumps already with that title, loving it. To highlight what it truly means to crash and rise again by transcending mental and physical limitations to share his light with the world. Are you getting like the goosebumps and feelies?
I'm actually like tearing up.
All right. In August 2020, he entered the Speaker Slam, the largest North American inspirational speaking competition. He gave his first speech ever that evening to 300 people, hoping to uplift a few people in the room, titled, I Said Yes. Mike won the competition. Today, Mike still coaches paddleboarding while being a sought-after motivational speaker. Mike, welcome to the show. We're super thrilled to have you here today.
I'm super thrilled to be here with you both. Thanks for having me.
This is so great. Like I was getting chills reading your whole bio. Like I'm getting chills myself, like just like thinking that. What a remarkable story.
I think that you should just intro people like every day, every second. You're fantastic at it.
That's my. She's good, isn't she?
That's my gift is doing bios. I get like. This is the best part of my podcast, Mike. This is my favorite part of the podcast is getting amazing people to come on here and getting to showcase their stories. Like I get so excited about these kind and you know what? For me, it's like the dirtier the story, the rougher the story, the more excited I get about it because this right here, like the word that's coming to mind right now is freaking grit. Like grit, tenacity, like not giving up. Oh my gosh. So I want to start this off. I want you to tell us about this journey. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So for those who are listening who don't know what paddleboarding is, stand-up paddleboarding is essentially surfing with a paddle. And I decided to, I took a lesson and I wasn't very good. I spent 40 minutes of the 60 minutes in the water, but I was hooked and I thought it was the greatest thing. I thought it was super fun. And over a period of time, I just kept on doing it as a hobby and I decided to turn it into a profession. So I started my own business as a professional paddleboarder and I taught professionally on the water. And it was great. I built this business of giving experiences and sharing that. And the best part for me was watching growth. And, people would show up on the beach and they'd be all anxious and nervous and scared. People get scared about the water. But it's the best part when you fall down. So they'd show up all anxious and nervous, and a couple hours later with me, they're raising their paddles up over their head in like a warrior position, and I'm taking photos of them in front of the skyline. And I got to watch their confidence and their power develop through that time. And it was a really special, amazing thing. Unfortunately, because of where I'm located up in the north, you can only paddleboard here for so long. And then the weather hits and you can't, because I'm up on the northeast. So I traveled out to California to set up a new venture, which would have me teaching in the off season out there and doing corporate retreats and workshops and whatnot down the Colorado River. And I was really excited about that. I was super lit up, and I came home, and about 10 days later, I got sick. So I don't know if you've had it, but I got chicken pox as a child. When I got chicken pox, it was just mild. My parents kept me home from school for a couple days. Probably the biggest thing was they just didn't want me to itch because they didn't want, a scar. But other than that, it didn't really affect me. So when chicken pox hits us as children, it lays dormant, and it can be reactivated many years later, and does reactivate. It reactivates as shingles. So I came back and I got really sick, and I didn't know what was happening. I got this sudden ear pain, excruciating ear pain, and then overnight everything happened. Everything changed. My face collapsed on the right side. Fifth, seventh, and eighth cranial nerve damage. It just dropped. Vision, speech impairments, hearing impairments, and I lost my sense of balance. So I went from being this vibrant, fit, athletic coach to not being able to walk from, the living room to the kitchen of my parents' home, who now had to look after me. So my business was gone, my independence was gone, my social life was gone. I often joke now that, it was my national championships to this pandemic's Olympics. It really prepared me in many ways for isolation and mental health and the job loss and all of that. And it sent me on a mental health journey that I wasn't really, I think, whenever people are diagnosed with something so life-changing, people are, thinking, okay, well, I just need to recover physically, but they don't take into account that we need to recover emotionally and we need to recover mentally. There was a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards the medical system, towards family, towards people in my life, and just the greater being, just thinking why me, what have I done? And I had to work through a lot of things. But what I talk about in my book Crash and Rise, and what I talk about when I'm speaking at schools and businesses, is that it's similar to what Aaron Roberts talks about, is your mess is your message, and breakdowns lead to breakthroughs.
Wow. I'm actually getting like teary-eyed listening to this. Oh my gosh. That, like, oh.
Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. I love it.
You said something when you were talking about the resentment and okay, so many things he had touched upon, just having to get through the emotional and the mental piece of it. Because you know what, your identity, your condition becomes your identity. When you're dealing with it, it becomes because it's every day of your life. You wake up, it's there every day of your life. And this is why his story is like, when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, like your story, like I talk about this in my book. It's the same thing. And all of that stuff you're saying, like I can feel that because that is how I felt. That is the stuff. I can't say, like that I know everything how you felt, but I talked about how even the medical system, the hatred that I had developed to this day, I still like, I have such bitter anger with the stuff in the medical because you get tossed around. Nobody knows what to do. And I don't know about you, but in my case, it took them 5 months to diagnose me. I went for 5 whole months before anybody even knew what to do. So I got shuffled between places, and the doctors were arguing about the treatment. They weren't even congruent about how to deal with the nerve condition. So in nerve condition in itself is awful. It is just wherever it is, it's awful. And the burning, the stinging, all of it. So your story is just,
say, everybody's pain level, everybody's pain threshold is different. I will tell you, I don't know if you're familiar with him. I talk about mentorship and the importance of it in my book at length. And one of the things that I did in my journey was I looked for people who also had my condition because it's not common. And I wanted to put a name on it that I recognized so that I didn't feel so alien and I didn't feel so alone. So I just pulled out my iPad and I started Googling famous people, my condition. And about a year earlier, the founder of P90X, the fitness guru, Tony Horton, he was diagnosed with it and it put him in a wheelchair. And I wrote to Tony and I said, this has happened to me and I read, that this has happened to you. And over time we built this relationship. And but he has said, and everybody's pain threshold is different, but he has said it is as painful as having both of your kneecaps blown out at the same time in your ear. And you're dealing with other things. Like for me, when I turn my head from side to side, it's like a carousel in my head. And there was a lot of bitterness. There was, a missed 72-hour window for treatment. So, when I was being told, we're going to send you for an MRI to rule out brain damage. In my mind, I thought we could have dealt with this 3 hospitals ago. Right. But tests weren't run. And there was a lot of anger, a lot for a long time. And then the anger fades, when you're putting in, proper practices and tools to deal with that. It subsides and, you have a chance to move forward. But it took a long time to do the work and to figure that out.
So good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Mike, I want to ask you a question though. What do you feel like has been, you said mentors, and I agree with you on the 100%. I talk about that too, finding mentors, because you've got to find somebody that's been in your shoes, that survived it, that has gone through it, and what did they do to get on the other side? And I think that's true in anything. So I agree with you on that 100%. What do you feel like has been most instrumental in helping you push through? Because here's the thing right now. What you have is rare. What I have is rare. Now, okay, so I'll say this. Back when I first was diagnosed, they didn't even have groups on Facebook. They didn't know anybody that had this condition, nobody. Now they have groups on Facebook. And here's what I think is so interesting, because I go into those groups now and I'm like, oh, all these people have this condition. And I listen to them repeatedly complain and complain and complain. And I just want to jump in there and say, this is never going to get better for you because your headspace is so absolutely wrong. But at the same time, you and I know the pain that is associated with those conditions and how it just totally encompasses everything in your life. So what I want to know, like I just was getting to, is for you, what do you feel like has been most instrumental in helping you push forward and do what you're doing now?
So first of all, what I just want to say, touching on what you just said, I join support groups as well. And people with my condition, we have a support group. It's not many people. It's maybe 3,000 or 4,000. What I can tell you is that people who have my condition, I'm coming up on 3 years next fall. And about a year ago, about two years ago, almost 2 years ago, everything switched, the mindset, and things started happening. And I can tell you, without a doubt, I am further along than people who are living with my condition, who are 3 years, who are 5 years, who are 10 years in. And it's because I didn't sit in it. And I didn't let it define me. I think it's so easy to let something like this define you, but it's so important that we reach for other things and we don't let it. So I just wanted to say I completely identified with what you just said. What I will say is that, the thing that really switched everything for me was, I talked about confidence building, and I talk about confidence building in the book, and I talk about it when I speak. But every win, big or small, sets us up for our next. So for me, my biggest win, and it all comes back to the first one. The first one for me was going to get mental health treatment and staying in a crisis center, and having breakdown. It was the hardest, toughest thing that I've ever had to do. Watching the car drive away and feeling like Winona Ryder and boy interrupted, and having to go inside there and just doing that, when I was so vulnerable, it gave me power and confidence on the other side of it, that it lit a fire in me, and it propelled me to doing things that I looked at as really hard and really tough. So just to put this in perspective, or a timeline, first 2 days of April, I'm told I will never paddleboard again. It's not a reality. 2 days later, I go into a mental health treatment facility. On May the 20th, like the Memorial Day weekend, I got on a paddleboard for the first time again. And the reason I did that was I took a hold of opportunity. I put myself at the scene around paddleboards, and I got on a paddleboard. I proved them wrong. I lasted 3 minutes sitting down. I wasn't on there for a long time, but that was a win. So that win led me to my next win. And that gave me confidence and power that I could go out, a week or two later when I was feeling good enough again, because that 3 minutes knocked me like it killed me. But it gave me the confidence that I could go and do it again. And I started building these incremental wins. And I'm still on that. I'm still on that wave today.
Yes.
Bam.
I know. It's like, I love the incremental wins, because I always talk about with my clients, with friends, with other entrepreneurs, we talk about celebrating the big and the small wins. It always finding something to celebrate, because there's always something to celebrate. But I didn't think about how they build off one another.
Mhm.
Like, I was almost compartmentalizing them, like we're separating them, but you're so right. I love that perspective, is that, and I obviously I do think in terms of one step leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. So I do think that way, but not in the terms of the wins. So I feel like that's really, really neat.
We can leverage the
Momentum.
the wins that we get. There's a confidence that comes with them. We feel like we can go out and do things, and we can leverage that confidence with ourselves. Not with other people. Well, we can with other people, you can, but the main point of it is to leverage it with yourself so that you can go out and you can do big things.
That's right.
And then it's just like fireworks.
That's right. Unstoppable stuff.
Yeah, and I think the thing that is that's coming to mind with this, it's kind of like, okay, so talk about the mindset. Whatever your mindset is, you're going to look for confirmation bias. So if your headspace is, I am never going to paddleboard again, you're going to prove yourself right because you're going to mentally be in that space. And so what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything to support that. But vice versa, if you went with this idea, and your timeline's remarkable, by the way, that's something crazy I'd probably do. But I know that headspace, it's like you're not going to be defined by a condition. So people are telling you what you think you're going to be, and you're like, I'm not going to be in that space. I'm sorry. And that's where I think that confirmation bias comes in those wins, because that's everything I do when I coach is all about those small wins. And that's why I always tell people to do small, sustainable things, because you want the confirmation bias that you can do something. Because once you start adding that to your tool belt, you start slowly getting all those wins in, you start raising your frequency, your energy, your confidence, all that goes with it. And all of a sudden, those things that seem so daunting and big no longer are that big anymore. And you're doing this, you're coming out of this condition, and you know that you got it there, but you're surviving and you're thriving, and and that gives you something to look forward to, right? Like when you're consistently having those little wins, you're always striving for that.
It's like you're always elevated, and you don't have to share it. Like you can share it if you want to, but like share it with yourself. Like celebrate it with yourself. Like go, yeah, I did this. I crushed this.
That's right.
They said I would never paddleboard again, and this summer I'm about to become the first. Like it's going to take me 3 days, but I'm about to become the first paddleboarder with a disability to cross international waters and paddleboard from the USA to Canada.
Bam!
So, like, don't tell me I can't do something.
Yes.
Like, I'll show you.
I love it.
And build those wins until you're at that level. Until you're saying, yeah, I'm going to go from one country to another, and nobody's going to stop me. And I'm also going to raise a boatload of money for mental health while I'm at it, and feel confident that you can go out and you can approach the biggest brands in the country and say, I'm this person, and you should come and be a corporate donor for my event.
That's what I'm talking about.
Build up your confidence until you're doing that.
Good for you.
It's so awesome, Mike. I love it.
I do
I'm
too.
excited about this journey that you have coming up. You're gonna have to keep us definitely posted.
Please, keep us posted so we can support you and so we can share and let others know about it as well.
That's so great. So real quick, tell us a little bit about this book that you've got. Obviously, kind of tell us, I guess, maybe anything that you think we need to know about this book so we can recommend it to our audience.
Yeah, wonderful. So the story, it's a big story. And it's part biographical, part self-help. It's designed to help people who are struggling. So when I entered North America's largest inspirational speaking competition, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was up against TED Talk speakers, professional speakers. I had given one really bad talk. I was valedictorian, terrible talk, I'll admit that. But this was my chance to recover from that. So I wrote a speech called I Said Yes, and it's about confidence building and becoming something new. And, I was hoping to uplift a few people in the room that night. It ended up winning. Ashton Kutcher's platform shared it, Jay Shetty shared it, like millions of views. It birthed the worldwide movement. And there were lessons in each of those, in all the things that have happened, and things that I thought were incredibly valuable for anybody who's struggling in life. Doesn't matter if they have my condition, doesn't matter if they have your condition. You know, if you've lost your job, if you've lost a relative recently, if you've like, so many people are struggling right now. So I wanted to design, you know, Crash and Rise Diaries of the Unbalanced Paddleboarder for people, to help them get back up and to help them win more now, because that is what we need. So it's out. It's available at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Books a Million, and I know it's a light, powerful little fun boat. If you love pop culture, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of references. I try to make it as real and relatable as possible. People, you know, people call me the founders of North America's largest inspirational speaking competition. They call me the Kelly Clarkson of it, like with what I've done from it. So, you know, Kelly Clarkson actually makes an appearance in the book. So do a lot of people. But no, it's just a lot of fun, and I hope it helps people, you know, just remind them to keep going and to get back up and to keep at it, because persistence is a huge thing, and it will lead us to it leads us to success.
So remarkable.
Agreed.
Okay,
That's
I'm going to
awesome.
say a couple things. First
It's a
of all,
great book cover too.
yes, I'm going to get the book because I want to read it. I have paddleboard before. I'm not going to say I'm great, but I have done it. And yes, it is a lot of fun. I actually did it when I was in Mexico for the first time. That's when I did it. And it was like, I had so much fun doing it. And I was in the water a lot, but then I finally kind of figured it out. And I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. I like it.
It is fun.
Where can we find this I Said Yes speech? Because I want to post. Where can we find? Is it on your website?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's actually not on my website. My website's mikeshoreman.org.
Okay.
You can find out, you know, all my stuff over there. But you can look, you know, I'm on, all my speeches are on YouTube.
Okay.
Just I'm very Googleable.
Okay, great.
But yeah, just put in
Googleable.
Mike Shoreman and it'll come
Googleable.
up.
I like that.
It'll say
We're gonna
Googleable.
post it. We're
Yeah, that'd be
we're
great.
gonna get this. We'll post it for our people so they can see it because I want to watch it myself
Me
too.
too.
Like, you are just remarkable. I love your story. I think it is like so powerful. I'm thinking next time somebody's complaining about something trivial, we'd be like, let me introduce you to Mike
Yeah.
Shoreman, please.
Yeah. Go check out Mike Shoreman.
Yeah, exactly.
He's amazing.
It puts everything in perspective when you hear stories like this, does it not? I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it just
it's also though just everything you embody right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's brought you to where you are right now, and you're so genuine and kind, and it's so clear that you authentically want to help others and share love and share hope. You know, it's just great.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, you have an amazing story, but you are a remarkable and an amazing man. Like you,
Sure.
it's just, yeah, we're so happy you're here today.
Yeah. Yes, and thank you for sharing your story. It's been good. So, and we got your website on here, so we'll make sure too when this goes out we have everything connected. So we get you tagged and get the website, all that on there. But I'm definitely getting your book because I want to read it. I read a lot, so I'm excited about it. So this has been awesome.
Amazing.
I think it's been good. So we do want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our show, please give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook because we can't do this without you. And hit that subscribe button on the YouTube.
That's right. Head over to startergirls.com and pick up your free gift. And definitely check out Mike Shoreman. You will not want to miss that book or even that amazing talk.
Yeah, this has been a good one. It's been awesome. We're going to leave you guys with a couple final thoughts. This is good. Incredible change happens in your life when you decide to take control of what you do have power over instead of craving control over what you don't. And that is by Steve Marabelli. Kind of fits very well with today's
sure does.
message. And of course, in order to have success, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. All right, you guys, take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.